last. So right now I will start all over again. My name is Ayodije Badon and I welcome you to the Monday morning talk this beautiful 14th of June 2021. And this morning we continue the series which we started last week on business and life series. Three lessons, business and life lessons from the lives of great leaders. And so I want to welcome you, and I specifically thank Tolu Joseph for giving me the heads up that that there was no sound, else I would have gone all the way through this and would not have heard anything. I really do appreciate my committed listeners. Okay, so this morning, please do not be alarmed that you can see me wearing a beret. Okay, so I've not worn a beret in years. But because of the man we'll be talking about this morning, because of the man we'll be reviewing this morning, I've decided to come in his favorite regalia. Okay, so all the videos I saw about him, all the documentaries I watched, his pictures, at least 90% of them had he had beret on. Okay, 90% of them he had beret on. So I decided, why don't I just put on the beret just to honor this great African man. Thank you so much. Okay, the beret is great. Thank you so much. So this morning we'll be talking about none other than Captain Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. We're talking about Captain Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. I want you to pay attention because this is a man whose legacy was strong. I want you to pay attention because this is a man who had a strong legacy of leadership. Typically, some of us can say that he was a dictator. In fact, I almost didn't discuss him because I'm a firm believer in democracy, but the legacy this man left behind is too great to ignore. This is a man who did great things even before he was 40. Yes, he had his own flaws. Yes, he was a part of a military junta. Yes, he was a strong man. However, this was a man that did for Burkina Faso what nobody had ever done for them before. And to date, no one has ever achieved. And so we will look at the business and life lessons of this man. Thank you to everyone who has joined. If you have joined, please help me this morning by placing comments. I can see my screen, so if you make a comment, I will know and I will acknowledge it. So please help me by making comments and let us go straight into what we have for this morning. All right, so I will just take a brief bio of Thomas Sankara in case you are not aware or you've never heard about him. So Thomas Sankara was a Burkinabe military officer and a socialist revolutionary who served as the president of Burkina Faso from his coup in 1983 to his deposition and killing in 1987. Okay, a Marxist, Leninist, and Pan-Africanist, he was viewed by supporters as a charismatic and iconic figure of revolution and is sometimes referred to as Africa's Che Guevara. After being appointed prime minister in 1983, disputes with the sitting government led to Sankara's eventual imprisonment. Okay, so from prison, he was his friend. He had a friend. His friend and some other people kind of led revolution. Okay, that ousted the government in place, and then he was made the president of the country. Now, it changed. One of the significant things it did was to change the name of the country from Upper Volta, which the colonial masters gave them, and changed to Burkina Faso. Which means the land of the upright. So right from the naming of the country, this was a man who was for fairness and justice. I will tell you a few things that I know. I will not read this from here. I'll tell you a few things that I know about this great man, this great illustrious son of Africa. When he became president, he was earning only equivalent of 462 US dollars per month as president. I mean, today's earning. Just imagine that the president of Nigeria earns only $462. Now, one of the things that caused this imprisonment while he was serving as a minister under the previous administration or previous government was that he was more liberal. He was liberal to the press. He allowed the press access to information, even scandalous information, okay, under his watch. He allowed people to say freedom of speech, which was really not the fault of Africa back then, okay, and we are still struggling with it today. He allowed people to be themselves, and he was against opulence. It was against ostentatiousness of people in power, okay? And then he didn't allow, the way things happen in Africa, giving contracts to your friends and brothers, and this, because he wanted to be an upright man. He was a soldier, but he wanted to be an upright man, okay? And this is what led him into trouble with his colleagues and the people in power, and he was thrown in prison. And then he became president. Now, I've seen several videos of this man. He was a man of the people. The first thing he did was he increased literacy level. Look, if I do not love anything he did, this one stands out for me. He increased literacy level in now Burkina Faso from 30% when he became a president to 70% when he was assassinated. There was a scourge. There was more or less like an epidemic of polio. This man oversaw in 3 months 2.5 million vaccinations. I mean, we're not talking about in 2021. We're talking about 1983. I'll get there about 1983. Yes. This man was way ahead of his time. If you see the way he was speaking, this was a great African who insisted, on being African. He was the odd one out. All right? It was the odd one out among many people, among many African countries. I saw one organized OAU, it was called Organization of African Unity before it became AU now. Okay, OAU meeting, and it was encouraging his fellow presidents to embrace the African way of doing stuff. It was to embrace more or less nationalism, okay, so that we can develop our own ways, so that we can develop our own things. Now, I've spent quite some time talking about this man, but this was a man who even took out all the Mercedes Benz from his entourage, and he began to use a small car and encouraged every other person. Now, this is about fiscal discipline. Okay, so now that I have spoken a bit about him, I will encourage you to go on. I don't want to talk about how he was murdered by his close friend, but we will talk about the lessons right away. So if you can hear me, thank you so much. Someone says that Victor says my beret reminds him of something. Okay, so let us go. So this man was way ahead of his time. He promoted Pan-Africanism, And the way he spoke, the things he did, this was a Sorosoke generation in 1983. I mean, if you know anything about Sorosoke generation that we have today, this was the this was your 2021 Sorosoke guy operating in 1983. And what he accomplished within those 5 brief years, they have not been able to get again ever since, unfortunately. Now let's go into the crux of the matter. There are 3 lessons I picked from the life of Capitane, that they call him Capitane Thomas Sankara. Number 1, just like the man we spoke about, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. last week, he knew what he stood for. It was clearly defined what he stood for. Even the change of name of the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, which means the land of the upright, he stood for uprightness and strength of character. This was a man who stood for uprightness. This was not your typical man who wanted to be in government for self-aggrandizement. I was shocked when we found out that this man left presidency just the way he went in. He was broke when he went in. By the time he was assassinated, he was equally broke. He had nothing other than his bicycle and a few clothes. This was a president that was creating wealth for the people. He mandated the civil servants to dress in African, locally made clothing to the office. I mean, this was a guy that was creating wealth for people, but he himself had nothing. If you see his family house, juxtapose that with Nigerian politicians and Nigeria's former presidents, right, from even the 60s and the 70s. I mean, just juxtapose that and see a man of the people. Unfortunately, the people don't like the good people. People love their deceivers, okay? Now, and he also sought alliances. This was the generation also of J.J. Rawlings. If you remember J.J. Rawlings of Ghana, and this was a close friend of his. When he became president, he also sought alliance with this Cuban president. I've forgotten his name now. With Cuban president of that time. The name keeps skipping my mind. So he knew what he stood for. He stood for peace. He stood for justice. He stood for fairness. Okay? And this man stood by it all the days of his life. The result is in the fact that he also didn't have anything aside his clothes and his bicycle. He would even ride bicycle to the office. We need men like this. What will you do? What is your stand in your life? What is your stand in your family, in your business? What do you stand for? As a business leader, as an employee, do your colleagues, do your staff, do your collaborators know what you stand for? Do you stand for quality? Do you stand for uprightness? Do you cut corners so that you can be hailed? We know, you can see some of them have been on Forbes under 30 or Forbes under 40 and all of that. In the end, we discovered that they cut corners. Would you rather be hungry than cut corners? Will your children know that truly they had a father, a mother that stood for something great? What do you stand for? Thomas Sankara was known, if whatever it is, he had his flaws, he had everything, but no one could deny the fact that he stood for uprightness, and not just in words, but in deed. So whatever you stand for should not be just in words, but also in deed. Number 2, Thomas Sankara was absolutely result focused. Thomas Sankara was result focused. At every point in time, Thomas Sankara was always focused on getting results. That's why in 4 short years, he accomplished what they've not accomplished in another 33 years. In 4 short years, he was always on the move. You needed to see this man. Without foreign aid, because he became the enemy of the imperialists. Without foreign aid, they revitalized the railway sector. Without foreign help, textile and clothing sector was revitalized. Without foreign help, he increased literacy from 30% to 70%. I can dare say, in hindsight now, that if this man, ruled or led Burkina Faso for another 4 years, they would have been the giants of Africa. Any country who pays attention to education will lead their continent. That is why Africa is backward. I heard that the Nigerian government said they do not have budget for education. All right. I would not say anything more than that, but you can see why terrorism keeps increasing from a certain part of the country, because they don't pay attention to education. If you don't pay attention to education, you will get bad results. This man increased literacy levels from 30% to 70% in 4 years. He was always on the move. He was result focused. Now, in business, if you're not result focused, you will not achieve anything. It is said that only one out of every 10 businesses that start survive the first 5 years. If you're going to survive, if you are going to be that business, you have to be result focused. You cannot wait for destiny to happen to you. You have to create the result you desire. And you don't just create the result. You don't just make it out by mouth. You work it out. Thomas Sankara was a hard worker. This man was a hard worker. If you can still hear me, please let me see your comment. This man was your typical hard-working guy. With this his beret, he was all over the place because he was having conversations with people on the road. When last did you see your president in Nigeria? All right. When last did you see him? The last time he showed up, people had to trek tens of kilometers because he was showing up. Okay. You just have to juxtapose. This guy was in the trenches with the people. When he institutionalized sports, he said that every household must play a sport or must participate in sports at least once a week. Guess what? He didn't just announce it. He was also a part of this. He did this as well, okay? So it was not just about making announcements and pronouncements. You saw this guy in the trenches and he was getting results. This guy was result focused. So what is for you in your business, in your family? Are you result focused or is just talk? I want to kill an elephant tomorrow morning. If you have met people who have lofty dreams, who know how to talk big. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of investors give their money to people who know how to talk big, who cannot do the job. They talk big, they talk large, but they can't get the job done. If you cannot get into the trenches and get the job done, you will definitely go out of business. And I dare say that you probably hand over a worse life for your children than your parents handed over to you. You don't want to do that. Get into the trenches and get the job done. Number 3, and the third final lesson is that, unfortunately, Thomas Sankara was too engrossed with work. I want to say that it was a bit naive, and he did not read the signs. He did not read the signs. He was vulnerable, and his best friend plotted this assassination. I hear that the man is being charged. He was ousted. That his best friend was actually ousted after 27 years in 2014, when Burkina Faso people finally woke up and said they had had enough. So this traitor killed him and took power for 27 years until they told him they had had enough. Now, don't be naive. This is what I would say here. Don't be naive. Don't be that person that that thinks that everybody that surrounds you loves you. Don't be naive. Don't be naive at all. Don't be naive. Don't think that everybody who surrounds you loves you. Don't ever ignore the signs. There was an interview with a particular man that said some people actually warned him about his friends. His friend, he knew about it, but he kind of ignored the signs. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let your love for people make you ignore the signs when danger lurks. Look, your family needs you to be here. Your business needs you to be here. Don't be naive. Don't ignore the signs. The signs of danger are always lurking around, but don't be naive. Don't ever ignore the signs, and be safe for your family. This message is for you. This message is for me. Entrepreneurs, especially budding entrepreneurs that are building businesses, are, they kind of let their guards loose. Don't let your guard loose. Please be careful. Don't, because you're looking for talent, bring people who are not loyal. Let's just round it off this way. Don't bring people who are not loyal around yourself because you need people. Don't let disloyal, talented people stay around you. Get rid of them. Disloyalty is a bad thing. It can be talented and disloyal. I know what I'm talking about. I won't just go into details, but disloyalty can kill your business, can kill you, can kill your business. So don't ever tolerate disloyalty. Any sign of disloyalty around you, around your family, around your business, don't ever tolerate it. Okay, so that's those are the points I have for you this morning. Those are the 3 points I have for you this morning. I want to thank you for watching. If you have got any comments, please place them in the comments and I will take them for now. Thank you so much for thank you to everyone who has watched and been making comments. Obianke Victoria, thank you. Precious Addition Wade Boboye, thank you. You like my outfit? I'm using this because of Thomas Sankara, and I'm using this to honor the memory of the man. Just before I go off this morning, it's a public holiday. I have a brief meeting and I'll ask my people to go home because it's a public holiday. We worked too hard last week. Everybody goes home after our meeting this morning. But I just quickly need to share this with you. We had an amazing debate on Saturday evening at the Print Doctor Online Training Center. If you want to catch that debate, it's called the New Media Debate, whether you should focus on one or two platforms or you spread your tentacles on all new media platforms. Check it out on Print Doctor Africa Online Training Center. Now, the next one will wow you. We're having the Print Doctor Africa Convention by 16th to 18th July 2021. 16th and 17th are online meetings, they are online programs, and the 18th will be a physical program. Now, this one, we do not have an expansive hall. So for you to be a part of this, the grand finale of the Print Doctor Africa Convention, you have to be, you have to register. The links will be released in a matter of days to register your presence at the Print Doctor Africa convention, and it will be by first come first served. Once the slots are over, we'll close it up and you will only be able to watch us online. But it's going to be happening in the heart of Lagos. Wherever you are, you need to be at the Print Doctor Africa convention this year. Where of course, you know, this is not just about books. Our conventions are not about books. They're about business. They're about relationships. They're about finance. They're about romance. Okay. So we're talking about life generally, and you have got to be there. I want to take this opportunity to announce to you this morning that the theme for the Print Doctor Africa Convention is Emerge. You always win. I'll take it again. Emerge. You always win. Okay, so that will be the theme of the Print Doctor Africa Convention. So it's emerge, basically emerge. And from now to the next 1 year, we ensure that you always win. Okay, that is all I have for you this morning. Thank you so much. Precious Addition wants this to be my signature dress. I'm not Thomas Sankara. Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel Abraham, for watching. Chibus on Wiki, Michael Ebadon, Simon Matthew, Obanke Victoria. I appreciate y'all. Adidolakpo, right, Ebadon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all for watching us this morning. My name is Ayodeji Ebadon, and I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye now.